Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another Nuts and Bolts episode. How are we doing, Natty?
We're doing well. How are you going, Straight?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited because we got some big news this week and lots of celebrating of wins, which I really like, and seeing not just the winners of big competitions, but people that just they just make those wins, those little steps for improvement. But we've also got some heavier stuff to talk about as well. But I figure let's start with some good news, because World of Tanks ANZPL Split 1 2023 is coming. It's been announced starting on the 31st of March, and I am very glad that they've gone to calling it splits instead of seasons, because I always get confused, because the B League was always one season behind the Premier League, and I got numbers confuse me.
and they go all fancy with Roman numerals too.
Yeah. So no, I'm very, very glad that they've gone to Split 1 and Split 2 for the year. So that will make things a lot easier when we're talking about the games. And also, let's not forget as well that this is an ANZ esports, so the New Zealand players getting involved there as well. So a couple of changes for this season. So previous seasons, each of the state-based teams or NZ-based teams have had to have 3 players from that region in their team. Now it's changed, so only the captain needs to be from that region, which will make it a little bit easier, I feel, to get players involved, because there have been a couple of times this season where mainly like a team has picked up a sub and they haven't played for whatever reason, things change. So I think by doing this, it opens the player pool up for the teams a little bit more, but you've still got that state link.
Yeah, no, I really like that idea. It's a good way to get people involved still with the sport by keeping the teams with state and local city names, and having some authenticity behind that, not just not just having the names there for show.
Yeah, that's it. And when the ANZPL first started, like I made the remark of that it's always easier to pick a team if the team is named after somewhere you're from, or even if it's named after somewhere you don't like. You just go for the team that you like the better. No, English fail. In numbers and English are failing me today.
I can't say I don't think any of us have ever picked a team because we liked their colours or because some arbitrary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the ANZPL will kick off on the 31st of March at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time on their Twitch channel, World of Tanks ANZ. I thought they hadn't announced this yet, but here it is in black and white on the article that 3 teams will be participating in the grand final on the Saturday, the 27th of May at Fortress Sydney.
Oh, so cool.
I know. It's going to be amazing, and especially we showed off the flyover video last week with the boxes that they had up the top. Oh, it's going to be so cool. I don't think I'd want to be in a box for that though. I think I'd want to be down with all the players and the crowd cheering on the team that I want to win, that I've probably picked based on color, or that I like them better than the other team.
Oh, come on, you know the Panthers are going to make it.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, I'm a little bit worried because They go down, they're talking about the draft, because the draft is happening on Thursday, the 9th of March on the World of Tanks Twitch channel as well. But it did say something along the lines, where is it? But the way it was worded kind of suggested it spoke about new teams and that Wargaming would pick the captain of the new team. And, here we go. For ANZPL, new teams will start from a captain that is selected by Wargaming based on past behaviour and performance. So that says to me that maybe a team's dropped out. So I'm hoping that's not the Panthers. I know they've had a pretty decent core lineup for a while. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they how that impacts the teams, and if we are seeing any new teams that might form in Split 1 2023 there. So that's really cool. Cannot wait to see. Also, the ANZ B League Split 1 2023 will also be starting Monday the 3rd of April. So that's the Monday after the ANZPL kicks off. Also, oh, wow. So I'm just noticing the times in the article because they're kicking off at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So over that weekend, Sydney and Victoria must go back to normal time. So I'm actually going to like that.
Yes.
So,
yeah, you got to pay attention to the extra D and the extra C's and places. Yeah.
So don't have to worry about, Queensland being 2 hours ahead of Perth and Adelaide being 2.5 hours and Victoria and New South Wales being 3.
We're always going to be that half an hour annoyance for you, though,
yeah.
Street. Sorry.
See, half an hour, even 2 hours, I can handle. But when you have to stop and think, which part of the country are they in, and how far ahead of me are they now? It's just like, even like South Australia being an hour and a half ahead, I can handle that. But 3 hours just makes it very, very tough sometimes. And even like going to PAX last year, you'd think that extra hour wouldn't mean much, but God, it threw my sleep patterns off. But
I always feel sorry for our New Zealand players that are having to play on Aussie schedules.
Well, because they do daylight savings as well. Hopefully they'll revert back after that as well, so that they can get some decent sleep, which would be nice. But yeah, also if you're interested, if you play World of Tanks, player registration for the Premier League and B League are open now. Requirement to play in the Premier League is that you have to have done at least one split in either the B League or the Premier League previously, so you can't just jump straight into Premier League, but anybody can nominate for the B League. So there. And B League's fun. Like, it's fun to watch. It's very chaotic, I think is probably the right word to use for it. But definitely excited to see that back with the ANZPL kicking off on the 31st of March and the B League on the 3rd of April. Woo, fun.
Awesome.
Fun times. Mate, I haven't played for a while. Maybe I should start the grind to try and
we might need some warm-up games before the season officially kicks off.
That's it. But moving on, so there was a video you pointed me to, Natty, you shared in our Discord there about is esports dying? Now, I'm sure there's no shortage of clickbaity articles out there around that, but this one was really interesting because it kind of focused on not so much on orgs, but on content creator backdoor or teams.
Yeah, it was fantastic if anybody has a chance to watch it, because they had interviews with Disguised Toast, as well as a few other big name streamers who have all decided to delve into esports, and one of them specifically talking about losing 6 figures a month on his esports team, which is insane.
I'm like I might see, I don't even see that in a year. Like, that's ridiculous. And he's losing that a month.
A month.
And can afford to lose that a month.
It's crazy. It is crazy, the breakdown and how they talk about it. Everybody jokes, and they make a joke at the beginning of the video about, well, how do these orgs pay the bills? Are they just selling hoodies, hoodie orgs. Yeah. That's how they pay the bills. But you look at these content creator led orgs, and they are all coming out and being extremely honest exactly how much it costs to run, what the breakdowns is, and really how they see the benefit working for them, even though it might be running at financial loss, what gains they're getting from it. Brilliant video if anybody has time to watch it.
And it's only 13 minutes long. It's not a big video, but it does give some insight into like how orgs can try and make money, and that's the problem. And it's something that I think we're going to touch on a little bit later in the show as well. But I've been thinking about it quite a bit recently, and I am now of the firm belief that esports will not be a big money-making opportunity for orgs as long as the companies that run those games are in control of the leagues. I think that at the end of the day, they're concerned about money. So they want to make money, and the esports does make money for them, and it attracts, and those the tournaments and everything are big spectacles that draw people in and go, wow, this looks really cool. This is exciting. Let's play this game. But at the end of the day, they're concerned with money. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be some form of association that's for each game in each region, so that they can like have a bit more control over the players, I guess. Because I just think that as long as the companies are involved that much in the leagues, that there's always going to be a problem. I think even looking at the LCO as a test, where you've got a league that's run sort of independently from Riot. Like Riot still has input on what goes on, but those people, Riot pulled out of our region, so like the ESL and Guinevere Capital have stepped in and are running it that way. So that's really great. But I firmly believe that as long as the video game companies are in control, that esports won't become profitable for orgs.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take. I know there was a lot of discussions when the Overwatch League kicked off, when they were selling licensing spots for hefty sums of money, and that was, profits going back to the game. And so then the orgs not only had to pay for their spots, but they're obviously paying for their players, paying for their coaches, if they have a house where they all, host all the players and the coaches, all that kind of stuff. It is a very interesting discussion of then, if you want to promote the idea of an association, who's going to foot the bill for that, and how that system will work. Comparing to traditional sports, because that's what we do, even though we shouldn't. The UFC for a long time has had a really big problem that their players are all contractors, but they put a lot of requirements on them that would be expected of employees, and it's always been this grey backwards and forwards of, can they actually ask them to do that, especially when it impacts sponsorship dollars. I think it's going to take a real inciting event for orgs to be able to get together and organize. It tends to be the way. There needs to be something serious happens, and then we'll hopefully see a move. But it's a shame the system isn't built so that the games themselves are invested in creating a good environment for the orgs and communities as well.
Yeah, it really is, and it does come down to money a bit. But I was very glad to see that the LPL Valorant Twitter put out a tweet yesterday that there is a Valorant Challengers Oceania 2023 Stage 2 with a $50,000 Australian prize pool there. And the Stage 2 winners also head to Valorant Ascension. So that is an incredible amount of money being put forward there. And registrations for Stage 2 Open qualifiers are now closing on the 27th of Feb. So if you can, get in quick. So that's a decent amount of money. I haven't seen the breakdown of what first prize gets, but $50,000 prize pool for an OCE event, that's a good amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good seeing that investment in the scene here, because every dollar extra that's available means that teams can put up better players and hopefully perform better as well.
Yeah. So I've just found that first place walks away with $14,000 from that, and down to 8th place, which gets $3,000. So yeah, the top 8 walk away with something, which is really good. Like to see that. But there is a bit of turbulence in the Valorant scene at the moment. It sounds very interesting, and most of this has been playing out on Twitter from what I've been able to see. And admittedly, it's been a little bit hard to track what what caused this kicking off, but there was a tweet from Conky, who's one of a great caster in the OCE region, does a lot of work on a lot of different games there. And he's put in there, there was a tweet that came out on the 8th of Feb. The Valorant community begged for more, and now that we have a competition that's paying out $100,000 across 2 seasons, so I'm going to guess the next season as well, maybe, or unless season 1. I don't know. Leagues are complicated in esports, but anyway, $100,000 across 2 seasons, and all he's seeing is OCE is dead, lol. The opportunity is there. The player base is big enough. Only the community can fix itself. And I think that last bit, only the community can fix itself, is the key. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't hear, like, it's very rare to hear about ranked in any game that's not toxic. I hear about, like, I play the Old Republic, PvP, when you play ranked, all you hear is that is toxic. And you just, you wonder how you can fix that. If ranked is where these players are going to play and to train, how do you fix that toxicity problem?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? You know, you've got people whose whole jobs are around user experience and building better user experience, and you've got community building experts that have all been putting their brains into this for a long time. I mean, I can tell you that at the highest levels of TFT, there's barely any toxicity because you don't have mics and it's all typed, and you know, you just get guys throwing jokes around at each other. The other day my hubby and I were playing, and they were, you know, comparing how much weight they could bench. You know, like it's kind of a different world. But if the answer was easy, it'd be solved by now. And a lot of games have done things like, you know, Riot and Overwatch as well, where, you know, you get to be able to award people experience bonuses at the end of games for performing well, being a good team player, which I know helped Overwatch a little bit. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? I feel like we need an expert on here to tell us what the answer is.
And admittedly, I think I've played the intro mission to Valorant, and that's about it. So I don't know a lot about the game personally, but it does seem to be that at the higher ranks there's a lot of toxicity, and if that's the way that teams are created, then that's a problem, because these people are not fostering a good environment for upcoming players. And like Conky goes on to say in some further tweets, it's not the game, because Japan isn't toxic at those levels and performs really well internationally. So why is it that the OCE ranked is ridiculous? Yeah.
I always think about it as well when you have new players that are, you know, Valorant might be their first video game, and they might kick ass at it because they're a 15-year-old with the reflexes of God. And they're coming into these toxic environments, and they don't know any different, and so they get pulled into it, and it kind of creates a cycle. You know, that's the other aspect of it, is how do we create that separation point of, okay, that's it, we're not toxic anymore, stop.
Yeah. And the only way you do it is you go full nuclear on it, and just any little thing that is even remotely toxic, you just clamp down on it hard and give punishments for it. And eventually players will realize that it's not there anymore. Like, you can't do that. And they'll either simmer down or leave. And that second one, I think, is why companies are hesitant to really clamp down on it. Because if you clamp down on it too hard, people will just go somewhere else where they can do that. And that just... It's annoying. It's why I said earlier that esports won't flourish and be a truly sport as long as the companies are in charge of it, because they're always concerned with the bottom line. And I'm not saying that like the AFL and the NRL aren't concerned with the bottom line, but the leagues that you've got below that, and the community leagues where people start and develop love for sports, are run by local associations. They're not run by the big dogs at the top, So I think it feels like there needs to be maybe even different levels where you've got an association for OCE or for WA or New Zealand or Victoria or South Australia that runs it in that area. But of course, then you get to the problem of sport, like esports are not location based, really. So
yeah. I mean, another thing that is a really big difference to me as well is that esports are kind of anonymous as far as your gamer tag in game, and so a lot of people do the Twitter thing of just be obnoxious and present with behaviours they wouldn't do at the local footy club, because they have to deal with the consequences of that if they act directly against someone.
Maybe that's a solution. Maybe you have to register with your real name. You don't have to put your real name out there, but you have to register with the game with your real name instead of a gamer tag. And that way there's some real world consequences for what you do.
That's an interesting thought experiment. I'd love to see like that done in a mini scale and see how it goes. I know a lot of people are very hesitant, especially about their privacy around online. There's been some controversy around even IP banning, kind of policies, because that's connecting you to you as a person, and consequences of that. So,
but why is it controversial? If you do something stupid online, you should face the same consequences as you do in real life. If I walked up to somebody and started shouting racial slurs at them, then I would be arrested. So why is the same thing not happening online just because people can be anonymous? It's
always the concern about misuse.
Yeah, well,
we can't trust these companies to keep environments safe for people to play the game. Why am I giving them my personal information when I can't trust them already?
which then kind of gets back to maybe there should be an organisation or association between the company and the players that play. I'm going to say ranked, because I feel like ranked is where a lot of the trouble happens, but it's also where players get better and they and whatnot. So I think there almost needs to be some form of org between the company and the player base.
You know what I really absolutely loved with World of Tanks, with their player ethics program that they do, if you've had repeated reports, they won't let you compete in the leagues. Like that's just it. And I do wonder, like, we don't see whether that's a visible thing that happens in other areas of esports, but you do wonder if that's the same case. If somebody's been reported against their profile, no, sorry, you can't play for that esports professional esports team.
Yep. And it has happened. Like, there was quite a good player in the Premier League for ANZ, for World of Tanks, that copped a ban because he broke the rules. So he had to sit out. I think it was a year he had to sit out for. He did come back, but it's just like those are the rules. And I'm very glad that it probably does come down to a bit that the ANZPL is run singularly. And like there's like Japan started playing it, the 5v5 format as well now, but there's not that crossover just yet. So I think it's lucky that it's such a small group that's dealing with it, that they've made those decisions and are very big on integrity in esports, which coincidentally we're going to talk a little bit about later on as well, which is going to be very fun. But before we get to that, there was a very unfortunate story that came out of the Turkey-Syria earthquake. So you probably heard by now that there's been a massive earthquake. I think the latest estimates I was hearing, 40,000 people have died from this earthquake. It's huge, and it's so sad to hear all the loss of life there. But it particularly hit the esports arena, because one of the professional Valorant players from Turkey, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I very much apologize, especially in light of why we're talking about this, Gizem Louis Harmon Kaya. Harmon Kaya, yeah, has unfortunately passed away following the earthquake as well. So we're very, very saddened to hear that, and we really hope that all the humanitarian efforts get underway very, very shortly to help all those people that have survived.
Yeah, no, not great news from that part of the world at the moment.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely Godspeed to them. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so on to the back to the sort of integrity side of things. So came out during the week, the 10th of Feb, this came out, that ESIC, the Esports Integrity Commission, is partnering with GG.bet to produce an anti-corruption tutorial.
Sorry, it doesn't matter how many times I read it. Every time I just have a little giggle.
Yeah, but it's just stupid. Like, the betting industry is so unethical to begin with the practice. All you have to do is walk into a casino and try and find the exit to know how unethical this place is, all right? They are mazes designed to keep people trapped. No clocks on the wall, so you can't tell how long you've been there for. No, and it's just all bright, so you can't tell what time of day it is. And like, and here's the thing, because GG.bet could be the most above board betting company out there and have do everything really, really well. But the fact that they're a gambling company that have partnered with an integrity commission, that just screams all sorts of wrong.
I believe there was an alleged comment made, and I do say alleged because I don't know myself, that, GGBet is an example of many of the gambling organizations that hold their operations offshore and kind of out of tax havens, and they're already kind of in their own operations potentially not behaving in the most ethical way.
Look, yes. The offshore haven thing, like, that's it's not just unscrupulous, but like Harvey Norman does it. Harvey Norman is technically an Irish company for tax purposes because they get better tax deals over there.
I did not know that. Yeah. This isn't alleged. This is
known.
This
may have been years ago, but I do remember seeing, like, when online sales, and so this is a long time ago, that I'm pretty sure that they were based in Ireland for tax purposes. It was, ridiculous.
Crazy.
So they're not the only company that does that sort of thing, but just the association of integrity when a big problem is gambling and players gambling and officials gambling, you partner with a betting agency. That just, oh my God. I'm going to say, did they not think how this was going to look? Or is it just that they're screaming that much for money that they will take it from anybody?
It's really interesting. So ESIC already have gambling partners on board, considering that the work that they do, which is managing the integrity in esports, and part of that is making sure that I don't bet on a World of Tanks team losing that I have insider information for. You understand why the connections are there. But this particular instance, this example, and how they've managed to put this forward is just PR mess. Absolutely.
It's you gotta wonder what was going through their heads. And I know we were talking earlier about an association between the players and the companies of games that are played as esports maybe doing better. This is an example of an association not doing it well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I feel this is a little bit like, so in Australia, all of our health professionals have to be registered to health registry, health practitioner registry, and that doesn't protect the health practitioners, that protects the public. So if there's something happens, you've got an organisation you can go to, and I feel like ESIC a little bit more plays that role, because they're more likely going to be coming after players and coaches and people involved to maintain the integrity of esports. But again, this has all stirred up all that stuff that we've spoken about before with the CSGO investigations that still haven't resolved, where, you had a list of, I can't even remember now, 40, 50, Aussie players that were impacted by suspensions and waiting for outcomes of investigations that still haven't arrived.
Yeah, where the big name players got rushed through very, very quickly, and then everybody else has been left to languish.
Yeah, so this has just stirred up all of that again as well. Oh, great, you have extra money. You're spending it on learning modules instead of resolving your existing investigations, which is, at this point, don't you just do time served? Everybody time served, let's move on.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of this, it always comes back to money. That's kind of been a little bit of a theme that's been running through tonight about, is esports dying, and the amount of money that you need to run an organization or a team. And, ESIC partnering with these betting companies to, like I said, it doesn't look good, but is it because they can't get funding from any other source? Is that why they're having to go this route? Because, the betting companies have worked out that there's big money in esports betting.
God. This has all stirred up, discussions about IRL sports as well. I was going back and reading some articles about the amount of funding the AFL gets from sports betting orgs, and it's insane. It is insane. I don't think that the AFL could exist without support from gambling orgs, and it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. If you have a problem with gambling, be involved with sports and esports.
Well, can you imagine horse racing without the gambling? That industry would die in a week if there wasn't
gambling. Who would
gambling.
watch it if they weren't betting on it is probably the question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't watch it normally. Like, I had an uncle when I was younger that used to race greyhounds, and like as kids, it was great. We'd go and have a picnic, and Dad would go and have a bet. And I went back to that place a few years ago. It is the most diviest place you've ever dove into. It's just like, it's like gambling is not a nice thing, and I must admit, I don't know how it is in South Australia, Natty, but I am forever grateful that our RSLs here in Western Australia don't have poker machines, and the only place in the state that you can go and play a poker machine is at the casino.
Yeah, no, we've got them in pubs, clubs, hotels. Every corner, street corner has a poker machine on it in South Australia.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad of that. But that's the esports integrity and betting stuff there. Well, I do like, I first like you shared the tweet with me, Natty, and the person that shared it was Josh Inman, esports event expert is what is on his Twitter profile there, and his bit that he's put in when he retweeted and goes, well, I'll let you draw your own conclusions.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has said anything positive about this.
Yeah.
But
and at the end of the day, if they were on top of everything else and working immaculately and doing all the jobs they should be doing, I don't think the outcry would be half as loud.
No, that's right. But
yeah.
But I tell you what, one thing that we love to see is Aussies doing well at international events. And we had it recently over the weekend, IEM Katowice ran, and the winner of the Counter-Strike portion of it was, oh my God, I've forgotten already. Bad me. G2 Esports. And the MVP for that was an Australian, Justin Savage. Well done, my dude.
Congratulations.
Oh my God, it's so good. Like to see that first Australian to win MVP at a tier 1 event. It's incredible.
Congratulations to him. That's excellent news. And I think you were looking at the run that the team that he was on just had a great run through the whole event.
They did. It looks like, from what I can tell from Wikipedia, they didn't lose a game, which is just amazing. I'm just going to have another quick look. Did they even drop a game? It's Group A, Group B. They dropped one game in the grand final by the look of it, which they won 3-1. Other than that, they steamrolled. That was so glad to see an Aussie doing really well overseas, and yeah, we've got to celebrate those wins.
We do.
It's incredible. And another one that we have to celebrate is at Katowice as well. There was a StarCraft 2 tournament, and I've said this 2 different ways when I was practicing the name, and I'm going to say it probably a different way a third time. But Oliveria, take a bow. Absolutely incredible run. If the ESL StarCraft 2 Twitter page shared a video, it's 6 minutes long, but it is worth the watch, of his post-match interview after winning the championship. And when you hear about how he only just scraped through the group stages, and then to go on and beat 2 former champions themselves to get through and win the whole thing, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, the story of his run, how he made it just, yeah, if you want to feel inspired today, go look at the ESL Twitter account for the StarCraft interview that they had with the winner. Just beautiful. Little tear.
Yeah.
Little tear.
Yeah, you cannot help but tear up watching that. And just to let you know how close he came to not getting out of the group stages. There was a group A, group of 6. He finished 3rd. Bottom 3 got eliminated. The bottom 4 all finished with 2 wins, 3 losses. And the only reason he got through was a couple of his losses were 2-1 losses instead of 2-0 losses. That is incredible. And and then to go through and beat those big name players like Hero, Marine and Reina, and defeating Maru in the grand final as well. That's absolutely incredible, and congratulations. Hats off. If I was wearing a hat, it would be off. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Just one more story to finish on, because we're celebrating the wins. These last 3 stories have been really incredible stories about people taking championships and MVPs of tournaments. But it's important as well, I think, to celebrate progress, not just championships, but progress. And there was a Rainbow Six clip from the latest Rainbow Six Invitational that Jesco shared. And it shows Wolves Esports making it out of the to the main stage of the Rainbow Six Invitational. And she shared this, saying the video is really important because Rize is crying because he has played this game competitively since the beginning and never made a Six International main stage. In esports, we rarely celebrate these kinds of wins, only the number 1 spot. Celebrate this incredible achievement. Congrats. And that's a big thing. Like we often look at things and go, if you don't win, that wasn't good enough. But if you can look at things like this, if you look at your progress, if you look at a first for you personally, that's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love seeing it in this context where, the PB for this guy is making it to an international event, and he has been invested in this sport since it kicked off. And that's just great to see somebody's personal investment like that, eventually pay off for them.
Yeah, and the video was from their last game in the upper bracket quarterfinal. So Wolves Esports is teed up for an upper bracket semi-final, which, if they keep winning, they are 3 games away from a championship. If they keep winning, of course. But they do have the second chance if they lose and go down into the lower bracket. But it is just really exciting to see those like incremental wins, I guess you might call them.
Yeah. And the personal stories are really important, because we can all get really carried away about how the esports scene is losing money, or how there's no integrity, or whatever. We always get carried away with something. But seeing these personal stories, remembering that these players are all individual people striving to just do their best every day, brilliant to have examples like that highlighted like this.
Exactly. And congratulations to Rize and Wolves Esports for making it into those upper bracket semi-finals at the Rainbow Six Invitational there.
Mm.
Well, I think that's about it for us, Natty.
It is. Big week.
It is. Lots of stuff going on, and lots of I'm not going to. I want to. The heated is the word that came to mind, but that's not quite right. But just lots of interesting things, shall we say, happening in esports. I guess it's like the is esports dying debate is always going on, and it is a very rocky road to travel, finding where all the money's coming from. But hopefully we can find a way through. Hopefully there's funding that becomes available for teams and orgs to succeed. But until then, remember, celebrate your wins.